everybody, it's Brita, and I am here to do Ask a Witch, and tonight's topic is dream journaling and dream journeying. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I've decided I'm going to wear my pajamas for this because I'm talking about dreaming. So I have my Moon and Stars pajamas on today. One of the things that I want to do is I want to just start off by saying thank you for those of you who've been coming in every week and watching the videos and supporting me. For those of you who've been on Patreon and supporting me there, I'm very, very grateful, and it certainly makes it a lot easier for me to do more things like this. And so I'm really feeling blessed by all of you, and so thank you so much for that gift. So first let's talk a little bit about dreaming and what the different ideas of what dreams are, and then we'll talk a bit about how witches use dreams and prophetic dreams, and how to remember dreams and how to decipher dreams, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of ideas about what dreams are, and it really, I think, depends on the person. I know that in the scientific crowd, the discussion is always that dreams are, just random firing in the brain, that the brain is testing different parts of itself and kind of like a systems check. And there may be some of that going on. I certainly don't have a problem with that idea. But I think that dreams are a lot more than that. And it's interesting how we hold dreams in the West in contrast to how dreams are held in other cultures and other places. For example, a lot of people in the West consider dreams to be meaningless, to really have no bearing on anything, and to be non-reality. But if you were to go to Australia and talk to the Aboriginal people, they consider this aspect of reality, this conscious time, to be the non-reality, and the dream time or the dreaming is the real, true life. That's where one can connect with the gods and create things and live anything that one needs to. So, sorry, I have a lot of goop today. I think a lot of how we hold dreams has to do with our cultures and how culture perceives altered states of consciousness. In the West, we're very intolerant of altered states of consciousness. We have a lot of judgment about that. But a lot of other cultures don't. They don't have judgment about it, and they have different reasons that they will quote to you mythologically and also culturally why they feel like dreams are important. My personal view on dreams as an empath and a seer is that they are messages from either myself or from the gods, or they're my ability to see through the construct which we call linear time. Again, not all cultures believe time is linear. Linear time is created by Western culture, but there are other concepts of time as well in the world. So we have to remember that a lot of how we perceive things has to do with how we grow up and what we're taught, and we get pretty locked into it. It's pretty hard to step outside of that. And when we do step outside of that and really understand it and really are able to practice it, sometimes we're even accused of going native because it's considered stepping out of the state of the ability to perceive things rationally, or being able to think, not being able to think clearly, things like that. But I would say to you this, and I would say this about dreaming as well as many other aspects of altered state of consciousness, that the confines of culture fall away when one is in an altered state of consciousness, and then we just have the pure beingness. When we're in a dream, we're not dreaming about culture. There's all kinds of things that don't jive with a dream. Like when you are dreaming, there are things that happen in the dream that can't be real, and they can't be real, but you don't question them. You just accept them. It's kind of the same way with other kinds of altered states of consciousness. Especially many cultures use hallucinogenic means in which to see-through culture. And the same is true there, that it dissolves the idea of ego or the rules of self, and what we become is just a pure beingness. And so dreaming is that. Dreaming is that place where our minds are allowed to play, and our minds are allowed to accept things that couldn't possibly be true in the physical world, but are not questioned in the dream time or the dream state. Now, dreams can be many things. As a person who's always had prophetic dreams, I think that dreams are really important. And when I say prophetic dreams, what I mean is this. Dreaming something about something that happens in your dream, and then it either happens that same day when you wake up, or it happens sometime in the future. I had a dream, for example, I was going through a period where I needed to flee Sacramento and move to Rockland, and I did that. And I left a lot of my stained glass equipment and tools in my workshop in the basement of the house that I had lived in Sacramento. And it took me a little while to get back there. And I had been told by the owners of the home that it was fine to leave the stuff there, that I could come get it whenever, was convenient for me. Well, some of the ladies that lived in the upstairs apartment wanted it gone, and I knew that they did. And one of them was kind of crazy, but I didn't think they would do what they did. But one night, about a month after I had moved, I had a dream that the crazy one took all of my stained glass stuff, my grinders, my glass, my cutters, my designs, everything, and put it out on the street on 17th Street, and people walked away with it. And it was a very scary dream. And I woke up and I told my husband, and, he was like, oh, it's just a dream. Don't worry about it. And I said, no, I really feel like it's important to go and get that stuff. We need to go get that stuff. And he's like, well, I can go until Sunday. It was like Friday when I had the dream. And we went there Sunday, and by Sunday, almost all of it was gone. She had set it out that day, that Friday, and people walked away with all of my equipment, all of my glass, everything. And so I've had that experience more than a few times in my life. And to me, that is tapping into nonlinear time and being able to see what important events are about to happen or are likely to happen. And so it's important to acknowledge these things. If you acknowledge dreams and you have a prophetic dream, then you're going to know. And so I've had a lot of those kind of dreams. I've also had dreams where the dead come to me. I had a dream about my grandfather many years after he had passed. Not many years, but enough years. He passed when I was about 12 years old, and I think I was about 16 years old, so about 4 years after he passed. And I was having a dream about being a little girl and being with him in Disneyland. It was one of the things that we always did together when I was little, and I really loved him. He was my whole world. It was really hard for me when he died. And so I hadn't thought about him for a while, and I hadn't had any dreams about him ever, but I was still missing him a great deal, and I was going through some stuff. I was 16. You're always going through some stuff when you're 16. And I had this dream, and we were in Disneyland, and he was holding my hand, and he was a big man. He was about 6'4", a big Cherokee Choctaw man, and I'm holding my hand very firmly, big hand surrounding my tiny little hand. I was a little girl again, about 4 or 5, and we were standing in front of the Dumbo ride, and he leaned down and told me that, it was okay, that the ride was okay, it was okay. And I felt really happy, but I also was confused because I knew I wasn't 4 or 5 anymore. And I woke up and I could still feel his hand, and I could still see him like sitting on my bed holding my hand for just a moment after the dream ended. And I feel like that was a visitation. That sometimes when we let our guard down, when we're in the dream state, we get visited. I also know that one of the things that you can do with dreams are a useful tool. Besides being able to see things that might happen and talk to the dead, you also can direct dreams too. One of the things that I've done in the past is talk to people that I'm having difficulty with. And if I have a dream about them, it usually means that they're also thinking about me. So if someone that I'm having difficulty with comes into a dream, then that's my opportunity to say whatever it is I need to say and not have to worry about repercussions in the physical world, because so many people just dismiss dreams or don't remember them. So, one of the things that I do talk to people in that situation. And I always try, especially when I have a particularly significant dream, but I think that now I do it less often than I did in the past, is dream journal. Now, what do I mean by dream journaling? Well, it's a good idea to get yourself a book that reminds you of dreams, something pretty that you will want to write in, that you will want to have near you. And a little book light is not a bad idea if you don't want to wake up, somebody sleeping next to you. Or a pen with a little light, and something to write with that is reliable, and have those by your bed. And because according to science, we have a dream every 45 minutes. We have what we call REM sleep about every 45 minutes if we're normal. I know that some mental illnesses cause people not to have REM sleep or dream to sleep. My first mother-in-law was paranoid schizophrenic, and she did not dream. But she instead hallucinated during the day. So the brain needs this playtime. It's something that is really, really important. But we don't often remember unless we start writing it down. So early in my life, actually, I started writing down dreams. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would write down what I had dreamed. Because, sometimes you have these dreams that are really fabulous. Like they're like profound, and some great piece of knowledge is like downloaded to you from the universe. And then you try to tell somebody about it like 20 minutes after you get up and you can't remember what it was. And so if you start writing it down, if you put that stuff in a book, then it helps to jog your memory, or just write down as much as you can. And, it immediately, as soon as you wake up, don't do anything else. Don't go get a cup of tea. Don't do anything. Just pick up the book and start writing. And you'll find that the more you do that, the more you remember them, because you're exercising your brain. You're telling your brain that that's what you want to do. And so you start to exercise that just like you would muscles. And so once you start writing them down, and you may dream a whole bunch of different dreams. I know that we dream every night. I don't remember everything I dream. I do remember dreams, 1 or 2 dreams a week, because I haven't been writing them down recently. And I've been actually thinking about doing that during the cave time this time, because I feel like so much is happening that my brain is needing to process a lot of it when I'm asleep. It's too much to process it and go through my day. And so I have to hold on to some of it until I'm in, I'm an unconscious state, and then process through it at that time. And that's another thing that dreams are really good for, is helping you process through problems or lessons or, growing things that are going on with you. And magically, they can be really helpful in that respect, because when we have things that are happening to us, they're happening to us to help open us up to new possibilities or new ways of looking at things or new ways of beingness. And if we process through those, we start to understand them sooner. And so, so much has been happening to me in the last 6 months that I have started remembering more, but also I'm going to start writing them down again. And seeing if I can glean some information from the dreams. I have had some prophetic dreams. Like I had a prophetic dream that Crystal was going to send papers to kick us out of this house. I had them about a month before. Had a dream about a month before she did that. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, because this is my best friend. I didn't think she would ever do something like that. But then it happened. And there were other things that I dreamed that she was going to do. And I couldn't believe them. I didn't pay attention because I couldn't believe them. And so that means that I'm not listening to what my spirit is telling me, what the gods are telling me, what the universe is trying to teach me. I'm not listening well enough. And so that's one of the things that I intend to do, is spend more time listening and learning and paying attention to those warnings. You know, when I dream something that is a warning, acting upon it immediately, instead of waiting. I've always been sorry whenever I wait with those kinds of dreams. And so get yourself a journal and a pen and a light and put that by the bed. And then whenever you dream, like, if you dream several dreams in a night, it can interrupt your sleep. I will say that. But you'll find that you sleep more soundly too. It's easier to go back to sleep if you have an unsettling dream, if you write it down, because then it's on paper and not in your brain. You're not trying to analyze it in your brain. It's on the paper and you can analyze it when you wake up. And so, that's one thing that dream journaling can do. And also you can journey in your dreams too, because if you've ever done lucid dreaming where you're asleep and you're dreaming, but you're somehow conscious of it, you can direct dreams. And you could say, to yourself, well, I would like to see this, or I would like that to happen, or I would like to be here. And I have done that with nightmares in the past. It was one of the ways that I dealt with unsettling dreams, is if I realized that I was having one, then I could direct the dream in another direction and have it become a pleasant dream, or have it sort out in some way in the dream. So it can be helpful in that way. Now, sometimes people say to me, well, what if I don't feel like I dream? What if I don't ever remember dreams, or I don't dream? And my answer to that is, unless you're mentally ill, you dream. Everybody dreams, except for some people with certain mental illnesses. And if you have those, because you generally will hallucinate or see things when you're in a waking state, because your brain takes that time to play, as it were, or do that systems check when you're awake. It can be dramatic. I know my mother-in-law used to say that she could see snakes and stuff like that, and she would tell me all these fantastical stories about things she saw in a waking state, and we knew it was because of her illness. You can make yourself a dream pillow, and I have this little pouch here is a dream pillow insert. There's a lot of pillows that you have the herbs inside them, but if you have one of those and the herbs are inside them and they're in a plastic bag or whatever, if you ever wash that pillow, it's going to be a horrible mess. So what I do is I make little pouches like this that are not too fat, so that I can slip it in between the pillowcase and the pillow. And that way, when I need to clean the pillowcase, I can slip it out and I can clean the wash the pillowcase. Or if the herbs start to lose their potency, I can replace them with fresh herbs, and without having to tear open the pillow. And so the herbs that we use for dream pillows are artemisias. Artemisias like Artemisia vulgaris, or Artemisia chinensis, or Artemisia absinthium. Those herbs are all sedative hypnotic herbs. They're all dreaming herbs, and they all affect your ability to visualize. And so I use this, I'll put this in my pillow and then go to bed, and it stimulates dreaming because the herbs are sedative hypnotic nervines. Now you can put other things in there too. Most mugworts don't really smell all that great, so you can put things like lavender, or you can put roses, or chamomile can help you sleep too, and you can put that in. Anything that you like the smell of that's calming, like you don't want to put peppermint in there because peppermint's stimulating. So things that are calming that could go along with sleeping and dreaming are things that you can put in here, but usually something pleasant. Lavender is a good nerve restorative. Chamomile is a relaxing herb for the nervous system. So those things all go together with your artemisias. And they work really well. They're very potent. I actually kind of have a funny story about Artemisia absinthium. Actually, it wasn't absinthium. It was vulgaris, which is the indigenous variety that grows in California. And I was walking along a river's edge where it was growing wild, and I decided to harvest some because I was going to go home and make some smudges and stuff out of it and some dream pillows. And so I harvested a big bag, and I came back to I was living in a flat in Sacramento. I came back to my flat, and I got out some newspaper, and I put the big pile of Artemisia on the newspaper, and it was a big pile. So I had the oils from it all on my hands and stuff, and I'd been breathing it for a while. And I got real sleepy, so I thought, well, I'll take a nap and then I'll come back out here and I'll process all this because it was the middle of the day. And so I went and laid down and I took a nap, and I dreamed that I was flying a 747 airplane with a stick, like an old Stearman, like the old radial biplanes. And I was going up and down, and I could feel the gravity, and I could see colors, and I could feel the plane and see the plane, and I was doing all kinds of crazy things with the plane, and it was a very, very vivid dream that, as you can tell, it still sticks with me today. And I woke up from it and I was like, whoa, and something like 4 hours had passed. It was dark already outside. And I went in the living room. My husband was home and was like, what happened, And so I told him the story. And I learned from that it's a good idea when you harvest a lot of mugwort that you should probably take a shower before you do anything else, because crazy things can happen. I also got a bunch of absinthium from a friend one time, and I had a big pile of it in the back of my car, and we were going to meet for lunch, and it was about 20 minutes to the place where I was going to meet for lunch, and I had all this wormwood in my car, and I don't know what happened to my brain, but I do know that I was in Sacramento from Capay Valley. I was already in Sacramento before I really kind of woke up and realized that I had completely missed the place we were going to have lunch at by about 15 minutes. And I decided at that point I should never drive in the car with a big pile of anything Artemisia. Is a bad idea. So be careful with it. It's a powerful herb. I use it for smudges too, because it's really wonderful for smudging. In the springtime, it has a really light energy, and so it helps you kind of step out of the cave gently. And in the fall, it has a much darker, muskier sort of smell, which helps put you into the cave, helps you to go into that meditation state. It's really great to grind up in an incense. I'll be doing some things to help you learn how to make your own incenses, and it's really easy to do. But you can take really any herbs that you like that have magical properties and properties of things that you want to use them for, and grind them up and burn them. Incense in many cultures is viewed as a medicine technique of inhaling a medicine. Burning things and breathing the smoke is a medicine technique that's used in many parts of the world. Again, it's only in the West where we dismiss such things as meaningless or unimportant or not, scientific. But if you think about the burning of herbs and the constituents therein, they certainly are affecting you. And it certainly makes sense to make your own incenses so that you're not breathing chemicals. But definitely you could make a dreaming incense, or you could make a tincture that you could use before you go to bed. Mix it with other things that help you sleep, like valerian. Herbs are, to me, a wonderful part of my magic. They're my allies, and they are teachers and guides and friends, and they help with a lot of different kinds of magical work that I do. And so they're definitely involved in dream journeying and dream journaling, because they can help me to get to that state where I feel like I'm boundless. And that's really the important thing about dreams, is that it takes the shackles of physical reality off of your mind, and your mind can fly free and think of or imagine anything at all. And it's important to know what your mind is imagining, because those are going to be clues to what you're processing or what you're trying to understand, or maybe what the universe is trying to download to you. So it's important to pay attention to those messages, because they are oftentimes clues to what we should be paying attention to or working on. So I'm going to give you a bit of homework. I want you to get yourself a dream journal if you do not have one already. Or pick out, if you have a blank couple of, I'm a person who collects all kinds of blank books because I just am fascinated by them. I open them up and I think, ooh, I could write anything in here. And so I have like 50. I'm just going to choose one of the ones I already have. But certainly if you don't have a lot of blank books, go and get you a great one. If you like lines in it or whatever, get yourself a little book light or a pen that lights up. That can work too. And put those by your bed, and I want you to record at least one dream between now and next Monday. And I would love to hear about it if you want to post it here, or if you want to message me and ask me what I think about it. I'd be happy to give you any insights that I have. But I think it's a good thing to start doing, especially in the cave time, because cave time is when we are most in touch with our inner selves. We spend a lot more time sleeping. The sun goes down much earlier, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest. Our sun is going down at 5 right now, or a little after 5. And it will get to the point where it's dark, starting to get dark around 4:30 pretty soon. And the sun doesn't come up until about 7:30 now, where it was coming up at 4:30 in the morning in the summer. So the seasonal changes definitely lend themselves to dream work in the wintertime. I think in the Celtic origin of much of paganism, a lot of the rituals and the ideas about what we should be doing or what kinds of things we do at certain times of the year have a lot to do with the drama of the seasonal changes that we have in higher latitudes. And I know that mythology often reflects what the physical world is like. It's important to note that if we live in a tropical zone where day and night are not that different, then we're going to have different mythology about the sun and about the seasons of the year than we are in places where we get no light. For example, Alaska all winter, or all summer or whatever, and then get a lot of light the rest of the year. Those things that the earth does that our bodies deal with are going to be the stuff of the gods. Those are going to be the stuff of our creation myths, the stuff of our most sacred mythologies. And so being in sync with that, even if we don't necessarily believe that these things were created by a god or whatever, our conditioning as humans has included all of this mythology for our whole lives. And it does affect how we feel. I know for me, I, of course, have a very scientific mind because I've taught forensics and I've taught genetics and osteology and I've taught, all kinds of herbal medicine. I've also taught comparative religion and cultural anthropology. And what I can tell you is that when I do ritual, part of me is in the ritual and really feeling connected to it. And my scientific part of me is standing outside of the ritual, understanding the meaning of each thing that's in the ritual, what the symbolism is, why we do it, what it does for a community, those kinds of things. And so whether you know those things or not, it doesn't lessen the importance of each step of ritual or observance or recording or analyzing or dream journaling or any of the things that you're doing. It doesn't take away from those. So that said, we are at 6:58, and so you have homework. I want you to do some dream journaling, and send me a dream. Send me a dream this week so that I can see if I can help if you have questions, or if you just want to share what your dream is, that's fine too. I'm happy to receive that. This is a closed group, so we have very little member changes in here, and so it's a safe space. That's the reason I chose the members to this group as I did. And also, let me just again remind everyone that there is a lot of stuff also that I do on Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, and you're interested in some of my herbal lessons and my Gaia vlog of, what we do each month on the farm and how that plays into the seasonal magic and that sort of thing, that's where you can go and join, and join the community there. There are 11 patrons. The more patrons that we have, the more we can talk about stuff and the more things I can do for you, because I'd really love to share. I really love to do meditations for the Sabbats for you and things like that. And I'm working on getting there. But the more patrons I have, the easier it is for me to pull that time out and do that and have the equipment to do it. So it's just www.patreon.com/CroneWitch with a Y. And hopefully I'll see some of you there. I have a great evening and happy dreaming. And I can't wait to hear what you write down, what you send me, or see what you send me. Okay. Bye.